Okay, so first of all, tourists crowds, that doesn't really work. I'd say too many tourists crowding the museum, or there would be too many crowds or too many tourists, something like that. Second mistake, Paris should have a capital P because it's a city. And I think the last bit, number of people filling the halls. We haven't really said, but what's the problem? That's a good thing, isn't it? What's the bad thing about that? So I'm going to rewrite that a little bit. Many tourists crowding the place. I've put a capital P in here, and I've added a little bit to my explain. And ruining the cultural benefits. With so many people, it kind of ruins the benefit of learning about culture. Okay, so that's our BP1, and we're going to start to plan our BP2. So write your BP2 just as we did a moment ago. Pause the video, write your BP paragraph 2, and come back in 3, 2, 1. So my point, another reason for charging fees, and don't forget our signposting language, another reason for this thing is to, I'm not going first, second, third, I'm using good signposting language. Another reason for charging fees is to maintain the quality of such facilities when governments don't always provide a large budget for historical venues. Now I've tied in that other one about the government, which was one of our other ideas at the beginning when we were brainstorming. Okay. And by the way, for our BP2 and BP3 today, we're not going to go through and edit. I haven't put any purposeful mistakes in there. However, if you see a mistake, please let me know because, these ones I thought were pretty much as I wanted them to be. Okay, my example. It is through fees and donations that many museums can refurbish themselves every decade or hold special exhibits or exhibitions. Again, this is not the best example. I could use a very specific museum in my hometown, but I couldn't think of an example, so I went with a more general one. I know that the Museum of Natural History in Sydney has every 3 months they have a new exhibition come in to try and attract new people and get more money actually, and make it more interesting for people to go there. And finally, our explain. So government money provides just enough money to maintain the museum and employ staff, but it rarely allows for lavish upgrades and implementation of technology. So my point of using this as an explain is, why aren't we using government money to do this? Well, I'm saying, well, the reason we don't use government money for this is because it's not usually enough money. And I could say that because government needs to spend more money on things like education and health, and so the money, they can't give enough money to museums to upgrade regularly. Something like that. You could change that a little bit if you wanted. So let's have a look at that whole paragraph again. If you need to, read through that whole thing. And we're going to move on to our BP3. So again, we reviewed the BP2. I'm not going to do that with you today because I'm going to make mistakes on purpose every time. So plan your BP3 and start writing your BP3. Remember, this is what does the other side think and what's the problem with that? Or maybe you accept the other side, but they're not as much as your side. Okay, so pause video, write your BP3, and come back in 3, 2, 1. So let's have a look at my point. There are, of course, some strong arguments for allowing free museums, particularly that it will attract more tourists and spread the message of a country's culture. Of course, that it will, the more people that come means more tourists, the more that we can spread that message. Now, I might say this is only valid in smaller cities and towns that don't have many tourists to begin with. Like I said, I've been to the Louvre in Paris. I've been to MoMA in New York, and they were absolutely packed full of people. Any more people there would not have been a nice place to visit. You go to see the Mona Lisa, one of the most famous paintings in the world, and you can't get near it because there's just so many people in the room. You go, what's that? What's that? And actually, the Mona Lisa, you're not allowed to take photos. So there's also security guards standing there going, no photos, no photos, no photos, no photos. photos, which I think is a good thing. I actually went to MoMA and I saw the famous painting Starry Nights by Van Gogh or Van Gogh. And you can take photos there. And I saw people walking up and going, oh, there's that famous painting. Okay, bye-bye, and walk away. They've just seen one of the most famous paintings in the world. They take a photo, sometimes a selfie in front of the photo, and then walk away without looking at the painting. So you turn off your phones, no cameras, enjoy the painting while you're there. I really don't like people taking photographs in art galleries and museums. I think, go buy the book at the end. Go online if you want the photos. Enjoy the experience while you're there. Okay, but that has nothing to do with the IELTS test, so let's move on. Why explain? We can admit that in these circumstances, museums should be free. But once tourism grows, fees should be introduced to stop overcrowding that may damage historical artifacts. So I'm saying, well, if it's a very small town that doesn't have a lot of people, fine, maybe it can be free. I don't think that's a great argument either, because they're the ones that need more money to try and attract more people. So that's the way I've put my BP3 together. So read through that and see how you think it fits together and see how it compares to your ones. Okay, let's move on. We've reviewed our BP3 and we're going to write our conclusion. So I'm going to use this as a way for us to look at conclusions and practice conclusions. So first of all, what should we have in our conclusion? One sentence is enough for a 250-word essay. You want most of your writing to be in your BP. So 2 sentences for your introduction, 1 sentence for your conclusion, and then put you want more time on your body paragraphs. The conclusion's the least important part. You kind of need it to tie everything up at the end. But again, for getting 6s and 7s, you just need that 1 sentence, and I'll show you that in a moment. Okay, it should be restating your opinion. The word restate is very important because we're not copying the language exactly from how we said it earlier. So we're restating our opinion, and we are restating the main reason for having that opinion. There's sometimes a way you could fit 2 reasons in to your conclusion, but it depends. Generally, your 1 main reason is enough to put in with your opinion. Okay, we do not introduce anything new. This is another big problem. People start saying, oh, because of all this, we should do this. But no, you can't say that in your conclusion. You would have to say that earlier and argue that earlier. What if you want to start doing something in the future? You should have mentioned that earlier. So we just summarizing our thing. That's what a conclusion is. After everything we've said, what is the main idea that I'm saying? What can we conclude? We can conclude that this is my opinion because of this. Finally, it's important to be strong and clear. We don't want to be like, oh, well, yeah, maybe, but kind of, yeah. No, I think this is true. Strong and clear. Okay, so going back to the topic, museums should not be free. That's my opinion. The main reason I think this is to stop overcrowding. So how can I put that into a conclusion? So right now, pause your video, write your conclusion, and come back to look at mine in 3, 2. Overall, most museums should certainly charge fees in order to control crowding, maintain a comfortable environment, while also allowing for regular upgrades of amenities and exhibitions. Wow, I've put all of my reasons in there. So that's fine. You can do that if you have time. I actually cut and paste this from the essay that I wrote as a sample essay for students. And generally, my essays are around 280 words to 290 words long. So mine are a little bit longer than yours need to be when I do an example essay. Okay, so let's have a look at a couple more. And this time, I'm not going to start with a good conclusion. So the question is, high school students should do part-time work on the weekends, after school, things like this. Okay. What is your opinion? And why would you think that? So again, you don't need to explain any of the reasons. You just have to have the reason and the opinion. How would you write that in your conclusion? Pause, write, and come back. So let's have a look at this one. In a nutshell, practical experience gained from part-time work might be useful for high school students so long as it doesn't interfere with their studies. I see some problems here. Do you see what's wrong with this? If you don't, pause the video, read through it, and think, what's wrong with this? Okay, the first one. Yes, we do not say in a nutshell because it's a stupid phrase. I'm sorry, it's a stupid phrase. All I can think of is the movie Austin Powers. Oh, this is me in a nutshell, trapped inside a nutshell. I don't know, I hate the phrase. Secondly, might be useful so long as it doesn't. It's not a very strong conclusion. We're not finishing with a strong finish. We want to have a big finish at the end. And this is a very soft finish. Realistically, words like might and so long as it doesn't just take away any position that you had at the beginning. So this is the kind of conclusion students write when they sit on the fence. They say, oh, this side's good and this side's good. Yeah, I don't really know what my position is. I don't know what I'm saying. And they're going to get a low score. So what we could be writing is essentially practical experience gained from part-time work is extremely valuable for high school students, and so such work should be strongly encouraged. Extremely valuable is strongly encouraged. So my position is very clear. My main reason is practical experience is my main reason there. Okay, so that conclusion, very strong and clear. Let's have a look at one more before we finish today's video. The internet has a negative effect on young people. So what do you think about this? So again, pause the video. Take your time to think about this. You know, kids are always on their phone. They're looking at the internet all the time. And we've been doing this for like 10 years or so now. And it's just getting more and more focused on the internet. But is that a bad thing? Pause the video, write your conclusion, and come back to look at mine. Again, I'm going to start with a bad conclusion. In short, the internet has its advantages and disadvantages that parents should think about before letting their children use it. Again, wow, we're just sitting on that fence. There's the fence. I don't want to be on this side. I don't want to be on this side. I'm going to sit up here going, ooh, wow, you have some good points over there. Ooh, you have some good points over there. Ah, ow. Terrible thing to do, and it basically means you're finishing by saying to the reader, hi, yeah, I don't know. So that's a terrible kind of conclusion which we should never have. What kind of conclusion should we have? Let's have a look at a better one here. Okay, here. In short, young people cannot survive without internet access in modern society, given it has become essential to both socializing and work. Okay, there should be a little full stop at the end, but otherwise, strong opinion. They cannot survive. So basically, that's a fairly strong statement to say that we need it. You know, we need the internet. It has become essential. We need it for our socializing. We need it for our work. Okay, so I'm not going into the details. We've already done the details in our BPs. Now, I've talked about socializing, and I've probably had my BP1 was maybe about socializing. My BP2 was about how we need it for our work. And now I'm restating those two reasons in my conclusion, and a very strong opinion. Yes, the internet has some problems, but it's 2018, or maybe 2019 when you're watching this video in the future. So it's basically strong, clear position. Okay, so I think that brings us to the end of today's lesson. I've got one more planned lesson so far on writing. So as usual, the same thing I finish with every week. Have you got any questions? There's our QR code and phone number for our school in Weihai in China. If you don't know, if you're from Shandong, if you live anywhere near Weihai and you want to study, come and see us. Otherwise, the rest of you, go online, go onto WeChat, Weixin, and send us a message with your questions. And in our 10th video, I will try my best to answer those questions. Thank you once again. I wish you all the best of luck with your studies, and I will see you very soon. Bye-bye.